It's been a horror year on Australian roads. At least 13 people have died in just the last 4 days on our roads. Joined now by Peter Khoury from the NRMA. Peter, we talk about this year in, year out. It doesn't seem to be getting any better. Why is that?
Yeah, look, good morning. Unfortunately, you're right. It's gotten worse. Certainly, if you look at the figures this year compared to last, nationally, the road toll is up about 7%, over 1,500 deaths so far, and you know, we've still got this last week to go. In New South Wales, the road toll's up over almost 30%. Victoria's not much better. So it's just been a really difficult and horrible year. There's been a number of multiple fatality crashes, particularly in New South Wales, where we saw that horrific bus crash in the Hunter Valley, where 10 lives were lost on that crash alone. So, terrible year. I think road safety experts are looking forward to seeing the back of it, and we're hoping for a better start come January 1.
Are there actually concrete things the governments can do to try and get on top of this? Is the issue here that there aren't enough, high visibility policing? Is it that people are not adhering to the speed limit? Do we know some of the factors that drive this?
Yeah, well, the causes of these fatalities are pretty consistent. I mean, we know that speed's a factor sometimes. We know that drink driving is a factor. The quality of our roads isn't up to the safe standards that we would expect in a country like Australia, where we collect so much tax from motorists. The latest Australian Roads Assessment report, there was no road that was rated 5-star, and that's an international standard that we're talking about. And there was, no roads in Australia that hit that highest level. So we need to do a better job of improving and investing in the road network. We need to increase police enforcement right across the country. I mean, here in New South Wales, we saw RBTs fall when they should be going up. So there needs to be a stronger drive to recruit and retain police, get them into highway patrols, get them right across the country. We need to continue those really important education campaigns that focus on those key deadly behaviours, but also where you can target them to those at-risk groups and in regional areas in particular where the road toll's so high.
Is part of that the issue is complacency, really, that people don't believe that they're actually going to be part of this next awful fatality, because we speak about it really in the abstract. Is it time to see a reboot of those really powerful sort of ad campaigns we saw in the last few decades, a kind of shock and awe, to say that people, this actually can be you if you're not careful?
Complacency is definitely a key concern. We did some research this year which found that around half of the motorists we had surveyed hadn't seen a random breath test in 6 months, hadn't seen one set up, let alone gotten tested themselves. And so when people, come out of COVID, behaviours change, they're not seeing the police on the roads like they used to, then they're more likely to start to think that they're just not going to get caught, and that's what our research showed. So complacency is definitely a key issue. Education is good, and all forms of education are welcomed. The shock and awe, where it's appropriate, can be effective, but it's got to be backed up with enforcement. So doing one without the other is pretty meaningless. We have a lot of speed cameras across Australia. They have a role to play, of course, but ultimately, in our research, our members have told us that the best way to change all forms of bad driver behaviour is by having more police on the roads everywhere all the time.
Well, today will be one of those days we see millions of Australians head off if they've been at a Christmas event, heading off on holidays. What's your advice on petrol? Are we at the low in this cycle? Is it best to get in now, or is it only going to go up towards New Year? What's the advice?
Well, it's falling. No doubt about that. It's been falling now for some time. Now, a couple of the cities are at the high point of their cycle. So Sydney, for example, has now dropped under $2 a litre for regular unleaded. Melbourne's at the high point of its cycle at $2.10. But everywhere, putting aside the local cycles, everywhere is certainly falling. It's reflecting finally what's been happening with world oil prices, since we hit record highs in September. So we should continue to see those falls throughout the the end of this week and early into the new year. A lot of these cities have still got a way to go. Sydney's prices will probably drop another 25 to 30 cents a litre over the next couple of weeks. Wow. And we haven't seen anything globally yet to suggest that prices are suddenly going to spike up. Oil prices, at least, are suddenly going to spike up again. But then again, it's oil, so anything could happen as we speak. Something could happen overseas, and the whole thing gets blown out of the water.
I won't hold you that 25, 30 cent discount on fuel. I'd be very excited, and I know someone else who would be the treasurer, because it takes a bit of the heat out of that pressure to try and cut the fuel excise again. But Peter Khoury, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks so much for your time on this busy Boxing Day. Really appreciate it.
Cheers.